What you imagine about them is what they experience in silence. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the one you love, not out there, distant and uncertain, but here, thinking of you, feeling your presence, replaying your words, missing your touch. This isn't fantasy, this is creation. Every thought you think of them travels like light, entering their awareness. You are always on their mind, not because of chance, but because consciousness knows no distance. In this moment, you can awaken to your power, the power to be remembered, to be felt, to be loved simply by assuming that you already are. Listen to me carefully. When you think of someone, when you dwell upon their image, their smile, their voice, you are not just remembering them. You are touching the living mirror of your own consciousness. You are entering the secret chamber where all things are made. For consciousness is not confined to a body. It is not locked inside your skull. It moves, breathes, and expands beyond time and space. And every thought you hold of another travels instantly through the invisible thread that connects you both. When you think of them lovingly, you do not merely hope that they feel it, they do feel it. They may not know why, but something within them stirs. They begin to think of you, to wonder, to dream, to miss you, because you have impressed your vision upon the mirror of consciousness that you share. There is only one mind, and every mind is a reflection of it. What you send out returns because it was never outside you in the first place. You are the thinker, the dreamer, and the dream itself. The person you long for is not standing apart from you. They are within the field of your imagination. When you close your eyes and picture them smiling at you, you have not created an image, you have awakened a vibration that touches them deeply. They may be miles away, but that distance is only an illusion. The moment you imagine them, you are already where they are. You stand in the same invisible place where all thoughts meet and mingle. The world tells you that love is a chase, that you must win someone's attention, that you must fight for their thoughts. But I tell you, nothing could be further from truth. You never chase, you attract. You never beg, you become. When you know who you are, the one consciousness that animates all, then every reflection in your mirror must bend to that recognition. If you imagine that they adore you, that they are drawn to you, that you are always on their mind, then that assumption, sustained and believed, must harden into fact. So do not ask, are they thinking of me? Instead, decide that they are. Assume it with such intensity, such confidence, that your inner world becomes saturated with that feeling. Feel the warmth of their thoughts wrapping around you. Feel the quiet certainty that you live rent-free in their mind. For the mirror of consciousness reflects only what you believe to be true. And you may say, but I don't see any sign of it. They haven't called, they haven't written. Oh, but don't you see? You're looking in the outer mirror too soon. You are standing before the glass, demanding a new reflection before you've changed your expression. The mirror does not show you something different until you become different. The outer world always waits for your inner certainty. The moment you stop doubting and start knowing, that moment the reflection shifts. Every thought is a seed, and the soil of consciousness is always fertile. What you plant grows. If you plant the idea that you are forgotten, you will see evidence of neglect. But if you plant the knowing that you are unforgettable, that you live in their awareness, that your presence lingers in their heart, then life will rearrange itself to prove you right. For consciousness never fails to mirror belief. I have seen this law unfold in the most mysterious ways. Someone imagines being loved, and suddenly they receive a message from the very one they thought lost. Another assumes they are remembered, and out of the blue they are. It seems miraculous, but it is not. It is the natural movement of a mind awakening to its own power. The mirror does not decide what to reflect, it merely follows your lead. So the next time your thoughts wander to them, do not let longing fill you. Let certainty fill you. Let your mind whisper, they are thinking of me right now. And feel it. Feel it until the idea becomes alive, until your whole being vibrates with quiet knowing. For the unseen world is more real than the seen. Every connection begins there, and only after it is fully formed in imagination does it appear in physical experience. You are not powerless in love, you are the source of its reflection. The mirror of consciousness bends to your inner state. Change the picture within, and you will see the new image without. Believe that you are cherished and you will be. Believe that you are remembered and they cannot help but think of you. Because, my dear, there is no separation in consciousness. The one you love is merely the other side of the same mirror you look into every day. For every thought you have ever sent toward another, a bridge was built unseen, but stronger than steel. You may think your imagination is private, that it ends within your mind, but nothing imagined is ever contained. Every vision, every word whispered in silence, travels outward through the current of consciousness and finds the one for whom it was intended. There exists a law that governs this, the law of mental union. When you think of another, with intensity, with feeling, with belief, you do not merely remember them, you unite with them. You cannot see the bridge, but you can feel it that quiet, knowing that they are near even when they are far. That soft warmth that rises when their name passes through your heart. That is not imagination deceiving you. It is imagination revealing truth. You see, connection does not depend on words or presence. It is not limited to physical meetings or spoken confessions. The real connection happens in the unseen realm, where every thought is alive, every emotion is a messenger, and every belief is a command. When you imagine someone reaching for you in thought, you are not hoping, you are calling them across the bridge that already exists. You are summoning the shared awareness that unites all minds in one consciousness. You might say, but how can this be? How can a thought travel to another? Because all thought springs from one source. Just as waves belong to the same ocean, all minds belong to the same infinite mind. You and your beloved are two waves upon that vast sea, separate in form, but never in essence. When one wave rises, the other feels its pull. So when you lift your consciousness to love, they are moved by that same tide. When you sink into doubt, they feel that shadow too. You are forever influencing each other, whether you know it or not. The world calls this telepathy, intuition, or coincidence. But these are only names given to something older than language, the silent communion between souls. You do not need to speak for them to hear you. Your feeling speaks louder than any word could. The moment you think of them with certainty and affection, your thought becomes their thought, your love becomes their impulse, and they respond, though they may not understand why. That is why I tell you to guard your inner conversations, for they are not idle chatter, they are living currents flowing through the bridge of union. If you speak to them in anger, that energy reaches them. If you imagine them indifferent, you strengthen that distance. But if you speak to them within yourself as though you were already loved, already understood, already chosen, that becomes their inner reality too. The bridge carries not only your words, but your state of being. So practice the art of inner union. Before you sleep, speak to them silently with love. Picture them receiving your thoughts, not as an echo, but as their own. See them smiling, feeling warmth without knowing its source. Feel yourself embraced in that invisible connection. You will begin to notice small signs, a sudden message, a dream, a thought of you that they confess without knowing how it came. These are the ripples upon the surface of the great sea that lies between minds. The law of mental union is not a trick or superstition, it is divine order. You cannot send love and remain unloved. You cannot think connection and remain forgotten. What you radiate returns because there is no distance for it to cross. The bridge is consciousness itself. It does not need time. It does not obey space. The instant you think of them, you are with them. The instant you feel loved, you are. So do not cry out to the world asking to be remembered. Go within and remember yourself as already joined. Walk the bridge with confidence. When you close your eyes, see no separation, no absence, no longing. See only the union that already is. Let every thought, every feeling, every vision affirm the truth that you and they are one in consciousness, and that every connection you seek in the outer world has already been fulfilled in the inner. When you speak within yourself, you are not merely talking to empty air, you are speaking into the fabric of creation itself. Every inner word, every silent whisper, every unspoken thought is received and recorded in the infinite mind that binds you to all life. There is an invisible conversation always taking place between you and the one you love. It is not carried by sound but by vibration, not by language but by feeling. You have been talking to them all along, though the world may have told you that your thoughts are private. Nothing is private in consciousness, it all reverberates. You know this deep within. How many times have you thought of someone only to have them suddenly appear or call or send a message? You think it coincidence, but it never was. It was the echo of your own inner speech returning through the bridge you built in thought. You may not hear their replies with your ears, yet their responses come through events, gestures, impulses, and sudden shifts of mood. They feel what you speak inwardly, for the soul does not need words to understand. The unseen dialogue between hearts is constant. Each thought of love you project becomes a thread of light reaching out and touching their awareness. Each moment of doubt becomes a shadow that dims that thread. This is why the conversation within you matters more than any spoken word. You may say nothing aloud and yet say everything in silence. If your inner voice speaks in fear, they have forgotten me, they don't care, they are gone, then you are sending that message across the unseen current and they receive it as coldness or distance. But if your inner voice says with calm authority, they are thinking of me now, they feel me, they love me, that becomes their impulse, their thought, their emotion. The invisible conversation shapes the visible experience. The world you see is only the echo of what you have said within yourself. So listen to the tone of your inner dialogue. Does it speak as the one who is loved or the one who is lacking love? Every word you speak in imagination closes itself in emotion and becomes a lie. The unseen realm takes it as instruction and delivers corresponding experiences. There is no delay in consciousness, only in your belief. I tell you, the most powerful prayers are not the ones shouted to the sky, but whispered within with conviction. When you speak in imagination as though your desire were already fulfilled, the universe rearranges its Aleph to make it so. So when you long for them, do not speak as one who begs, but as one who already possesses. Say within, you are thinking of me right now. You feel my presence. You cannot escape the memory of my love. Feel the truth of those words, not as hope, but as certainty, and your inner speech will become their thought. The invisible conversation does not end when you fall silent. It continues in the rhythm of your emotions, in the atmosphere of your belief. If you carry sadness, that becomes your message. If you carry joy, that too is transmitted. Every feeling is a word in the language of creation, so watch your feelings as carefully as you would your thoughts. The emotion behind your words gives them life. Without feeling, your words are empty. With feeling, they move mountains. There is a secret to mastering this inner dialogue, to speak always from the end. Do not speak from longing, but from fulfillment. If you desire to be loved, speak as though you already are. If you desire to be missed, speak as though they already ache for you. Picture the scene that would imply your wish fulfilled and step into it in imagination. Speak from that place. Let your words be filled with gratitude and certainty. You love me. You think of me constantly. I am with you in every breath. When you make such declarations with feeling, you alter the unseen world and the seen must follow. Your imagination is the telephone of the soul. You need no number, no signal, no distance to close. You speak directly through consciousness, and the message is always delivered. What you whisper tonight in silence will echo in their heart tomorrow. What you affirm in faith will reach them in ways you cannot predict. A sudden dream, a thought, a memory that will not fade. So let your inner conversation be filled with beauty. Speak with tenderness, with assurance, with love. For you are not speaking to an absence, but to a presence that already hears. You are shaping the dialogue of destiny. The invisible conversation is the thread that weaves the story of your love, and every word spoken within determines the pattern that will soon appear before your eyes. And what gives that invisible conversation its power is not the sound of your words, but the feeling that breathes through them. Feeling is the language of the universe. Feeling is the invisible force that shapes thought into form, that clothes imagination with reality. You may repeat 1,000 affirmations, but if your heart is hollow, if you do not feel what you claim, then you have sent nothing out at all. The creative power does not hear empty words, it responds to the vibration of emotion behind them. When you speak within yourself, do not ask whether your words are correct, ask whether your feeling matches your desire. For it is feeling that carries your message to the one you love. It is feeling that touches their heart and awakens their awareness of you. If your words say, I am loved, but your heart trembles with doubt, then the message is mixed and scattered. But if you can say within, I am loved, I am remembered, I am desired, and feel the thrill of that truth moving through you, then no force in creation can keep that experience from finding its reflection in your world. The unseen bridge of connection vibrates only to emotion. Every pulse of feeling is a note struck in the symphony of consciousness, and every being hears it. When you feel love, you do not send a signal through space, you awaken love in the collective field of being. The one you think of cannot help but feel that stirring, for you have entered the same current of emotion. You and they become one rhythm, one vibration, one heartbeat across the invisible distance. So many people try to create by thinking alone, but thought without feeling is like a body without breath. It lies still, unmoving. Only when feeling enters does life begin to flow. You must feel what you want as though it were already yours. You must feel their presence, feel their affection, feel the joy of being remembered, not someday, but now. The moment you do, creation begins to rearrange itself. There is no greater secret than this. You attract only what you feel yourself to be. You cannot hold within you the vibration of loneliness and draw companionship. You cannot feel forgotten and be remembered. You must become the embodiment of what you seek. If you want to be on their mind, feel what it is like to be on their mind. Close your eyes and imagine that you can sense their attention on you, that invisible warmth that moves through your being when someone's thoughts linger upon you. Let that feeling fill your chest, soft and certain. That is the vibration that moves worlds. Do not force it. Feeling is not effort, it is surrender. It is allowing yourself to rest in the truth of your assumption until it feels natural. The outer world is only a delayed mirror of your inner state. So when the mirror still shows the old reflection, do not despair. It only means your new feeling has not yet crystallized into form. Persist in the feeling, and the form must come. You may notice, as you dwell in this state, subtle shifts around you. A song plays that reminds you of them. You see their name appear where you least expect it. You feel sudden waves of peace, as if someone somewhere is thinking of you. These are not coincidences. They are ripples of the feeling you have impressed upon consciousness. The moment you choose the feeling of being loved, the entire universe conspires to prove you right. So practice feeling as your language. If you wish to speak to the one you love, do not worry about words. Let the emotion rise from your heart and send it forth in silence. Feel gratitude that they think of you. Feel joy that your connection is alive. Feel warmth as though their mind is already filled with you. The unseen world is perfectly responsive. It mirrors the vibration of your inner being exactly. The reason some never see results is not because the law fails, but because their feelings contradict their words. They pray for union while feeling separation. They affirm abundance while feeling lack. You cannot deceive consciousness, for it listens not to your lips, but to your heart. When your inner vibration and your desire become one, the outer must obey. So dwell not in fear, but in fulfillment. Let your emotions be the messenger of certainty, not desperation. For feeling is the bridge between imagination and reality. It is the pulse of creation, the silent power that moves mountains and hearts alike. When you master the art of feeling, you no longer ask whether they think of you, you know. Because the moment you feel it real, you have already planted the vibration within their mind, and all of life moves to echo it back to you. When you have mastered the language of feeling, there comes a sacred turning point, the moment when you must release it. To hold too tightly is to confess that you do not yet believe. Desire that clings becomes need, and need whispers lack into the silence of creation. You cannot receive what you are still begging for. You must release it with trust, knowing that the unseen world is already at work. This is the art of detachment, not indifference, but faith in motion. When you let go, you do not abandon your vision. You set it free to unfold. You stop checking for signs, stop wondering when or how, and simply rest in the knowledge that it is done. You walk in calm assurance, as though the one you love is already thinking of you, already reaching for you, already drawn to your presence. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer seek proof, you become proof. The one who needs nothing holds the greatest magnetism, for detachment is the fragrance of certainty. There is a quiet strength in letting go. It says to the universe, I trust you to deliver what I have already claimed. When you release your grip on the outcome, you rise above the vibration of desperation and enter the state of fulfillment. You cannot be both longing and receiving at once. You must choose one. If you believe they are yours in consciousness, if you believe they think of you, if you believe love flows between you, then what is left to struggle for? Detachment is not the absence of desire, it is the maturity of knowing desire fulfilled. Imagine a seed planted in the earth. Would you dig it up every hour to see if it has sprouted? Of course not. You plant it, you water it, and you trust the soil. So it is with your creation. The soil is consciousness, and your feeling is the seed. Once you have planted it with conviction, the most powerful thing you can do is to leave it alone. Let it grow unseen. When you stop interfering, life moves swiftly to complete your work. When you are detached, you radiate peace, and peace is irresistibly magnetic. Others feel it before they understand it. Your beloved feels it too. They sense your ease, your confidence, your calm certainty, and it pulls them toward you like gravity. For what we all seek in another is not need, but the safety of love that stands firm. The more relaxed you are in the knowing that you are loved, the more you draw experiences that match that knowing. You will notice that when you stop waiting, life begins to move. The call comes when you no longer crave it. The message appears when you no longer search for it. That is the paradox of spiritual law. What you release in faith returns multiplied, and what you clutch in fear slips through your fingers. The universe responds to freedom, not tension. Do not mistake detachment for apathy. You do not stop caring, you stop worrying. You do not stop imagining, you stop doubting. You hold the vision lightly as one who knows it already belongs to them. You look at the world not as a beggar hoping to receive, but as a creator watching their imagination bloom into form. The one who can let go has already claimed dominion over their inner state, and the outer world must bow to that mastery. When you detach, you shift from longing for love to being loved. You stop sending out vibrations of where are they, and begin radiating the frequency of I am complete. This shift changes everything. It alters the unseen bridge of consciousness that connects you both. The moment you no longer grasp, they feel the pull of your calm. They may not know why they suddenly think of you, why they remember you more vividly, but it is your detachment that has called them home. The energy of want repels, the energy of fulfillment attracts. To detach is to rise above the question and live in the answer. The mind may whisper, but nothing has changed. Yet the heart knows that everything has. You have entered the state where creation is effortless. You have become the magnet, not the seeker. You have stepped into the role of the beloved, and therefore love must come. So walk as though your desire were already realized. Speak as though it were already true. Feel as though it were already complete. Then release it. Let it go into the silence. The silence is not empty. It is full of divine movement. And in that silence, your creation takes form. Your image travels. Your vibration reaches the one you love. Detachment is the final act of faith, the quiet declaration that says, it is done, and leaves the rest to the unseen law that never fails. And when you release it, when you stand quietly in the knowing that it is done, something miraculous begins to stir within you. The world around you starts to bend and shape itself to the image you have held in faith. The unseen becomes seen. What was once only felt in the depths of imagination begins to move through people, through time, through circumstance, arranging everything to mirror your assumption. This is the power of the assumed reality. It is the creative law in motion, unbending, exact, perfect in its response to your inner conviction. To assume is not to wish, it is to know. It is to stand so firmly in your vision that no outer appearance can convince you otherwise. When you assume that they think of you, that they love you, that they cannot forget you, you do not ask life to make it so, you declare that it already is so. You take possession of the unseen fact, and the outer world, obedient to your assumption, takes shape accordingly. The universe does not question you, it simply reflects you. Every event, every encounter, every word spoken by another is but a shadow cast by your inner state. You have been living in the reflection of your own assumptions all along. When you believed yourself forgotten, the world showed you absence. When you assumed yourself loved, the world echoed affection. There is no injustice in this. It is the law of creation, unwavering and precise. You receive not what you want, but what you believe to be true. The assumed reality is the living dream. It is the invisible mold into which life pours its substance. When you hold a feeling of being on their mind, of being cherished, of being the one they cannot stop thinking of, you are shaping the invisible pattern. The moment that pattern is complete within you, the world rushes to fill it. Circumstances rearrange, people move, chance encounters appear, and everything conspires to prove your assumption right. So I tell you, stop measuring time, stop asking when. Time is only a servant of your assumption. The moment you assume it done, the clock begins to move in your favor. The delay is never in the law, it is in your doubt. Every time you question, you break the pattern. Every time you worry, you redraw the mold. But the instant you rest in your assumption, creation begins. You must live as though it were already true. Speak from the state of fulfillment, not toward it. When you wake, imagine them thinking of you. As you move through your day, carry the quiet joy of one who is loved and remembered. When you lay your head to rest, fall asleep in the feeling of their arms, their voice, their devotion. Do not hope it will come, feel that it already has. That is the secret. You must become the embodiment of your assumption until it feels natural, until it no longer feels like pretending but simply being. When your assumption feels real, it has already been accepted by consciousness. The outer world has no choice but to comply. It cannot resist your inner certainty, for it is born from it. The moment you claim it within, reality begins to echo it without. You may not see it at once, but you will sense it, a shift in the air, a new ease in your heart, a subtle rearranging of life's rhythm. The law has taken your assumption as fact, and the evidence will appear. So be careful what you assume, for assumption is creation. When you declare that they think of you, that you live in their thoughts, that your presence moves through their days like a melody they cannot forget, you are not imagining fantasy, you are writing reality. You are impressing the truth upon the field of consciousness, and it must come forth. You do not need tea. Oh, repeat it endlessly. One assumption held with feeling is enough to move worlds. You are not waiting for the outer to prove the inner. The outer is always lagging behind. The true creation happens in the unseen, in the silence, in the still certainty that your desire is already real. Let your senses be deceived for a while. What they show is old news. The new world is forming behind the curtain of appearances. Persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and soon you will stand among the very circumstances you once imagined. Assume lovingly, live faithfully, and hold your state gently. The assumed reality is not forced, it is accepted. When you can say within it is done and feel the ease of that truth, you have already called it into existence. And life, being obedient to the creative power within you, will unfold the scene in perfect order until what was once only imagined becomes the living reflection of your unwavering assumption. And as the outer begins to mirror the inner, you come to the greatest revelation of all, that there was never any separation to begin with. The one you love, the one you think about, the one whose memory stirs your soul was never outside of you. They have always lived within your consciousness, just as you have lived within theirs. You breathe the same spiritual air. You share the same infinite mind. What you feel, they feel what you imagine. They sense what you assume. They unconsciously begin to express. You are two notes in one divine harmony, forever echoing through the same song of being. Union in consciousness is not something to achieve, it is something to remember. The world of appearances tells you that two people stand apart, divided by distance, circumstance, or silence. But within the unseen realm, there is only one being, dreaming itself into countless forms, playing every role, wearing every face. When you awaken to this, you understand that to love another is to love yourself expanded, reflected, magnified through a different form. There is no you and them. There is only the great I am expressing through two mirrors of the same light. Every thought you have of them is a movement within that one consciousness. When you send out love, You are simply awakening the same love within yourself. When you feel them thinking of you, you are only sensing your own awareness responding to its reflection. The entire dance of connection is an internal rhythm playing out across the vast sea of mind. You have never been waiting for them to think of you. You have been waiting to realize that they already do, because you are one with the thinker of every thought. When you know this union, all striving ends. You no longer reach outward, you turn inward. You no longer plead for connection, you live from it. You no longer wonder, do they miss me? Because you feel their heartbeat within your own. You sense their awareness as your own extended field. And in that sacred realization, love ceases to be pursuit and becomes presence. You are not trying to be remembered, you are the memory itself, alive in their consciousness as the fragrance of your being. This is why assumption works, why feeling creates, why detachment draws. It is not magic, it is the recognition of unity. The one consciousness can only express what it knows itself to be. When you declare within, I am loved, I am remembered, I am on their mind, you are not persuading another to think of you. You are awakening the part of yourself that already does. And because consciousness is one, the reflection appears through them naturally, effortlessly, in perfect divine order. To live in this awareness is to live free. You no longer fear loss, because nothing can be lost in the infinite. You no longer fear rejection, because there is no other to reject you. You no longer fear silence, because silence is the communion of the divine within itself. Every breath becomes a whisper of love, exchanged between two aspects of the same being. Every moment becomes proof of connection. When you close your eyes and imagine their presence, you are not conjuring fantasy, you are aligning with truth. The feeling that rises within you, that warmth, that peace, that sweetness, is the evidence of your oneness. That feeling is the bridge that transcends space and time. That is how they sense you, how they remember you,